Hi, my name is Po-Chu, and this is the demonstration video for the CS202 operating systems. So first, uh, let me dive into the code really fast. So as we can see in the result, that is pretty much the same as we expected in the template. You can see that for calling this command, the system calls will be 49, which will be greater than we were thought. And the reason will be that before the system info, this system call is being called, and there's a bunch of commands that will also be invoked, like the fork or like a execute system call. So this number will be greater. So now let's dive into the code that we have modified now. So at first in the system call.h file, we need to define a two-number for the system call entry. And then in the system call.c file, we need to also create these two entry as an updated system call table. And the other part here is that because we need to calculate the number of system call every time, so when you initialize a variable counter for the for the system call, and every time the system call is being invoked, we will increment this counter here. Okay, now before we dive into the kernel function, we need to define the system call function first. It's to here. As we can see, this system info, this function, this input will be an integer, and for the process info, the input will be a pointer. For the kernel function heading file, because we need to calculate the system calls made by every current process, so we need to first initialize a variable here. And then for the kernel function, we can see this is the main part for this lab. Like the system info function, we can see if the parameter is equal to 0, then we will just simply iterate through the process state and then check each process state to calculate the number of process and increment it. And the interesting part is that because the XV6 doesn't have the state reference to the ready or the running one, so we include the sleeping and runnable one, and which coincidentally match the result in the template. And if the parameter is equal to 1, we can just simply return the calling counter. And if the parameter is equal to 2, we will return a function. And this count page function is calculating the memory page for one system calls, and it is defined in the klog.c file. We will introduce that later. And for the process info function, as we can see that for the test of part 2, we'll first locate the current process, and then the field and its incrementer are already established, so we can just simply access them. And the third part there is the memory size. The memory page size will be the 4096 bytes, and this detail is defined and confirmed in the klog.c files, so we can just simply access it, use the definition. So now let's check in this klog.c file. As we can see here, the count page 1 here function here is really simple. We first make a copy of the free list, which will be the memory linked list, and then we just simply iterate through it and look through the entire free list and add in the counter. For the user's entry, here in this .pl file, we need to define two entries for the system call, and then define it into the user interface, which will be here. And then lastly, in the make file, we need to make sure that our lab1 test.c file will also be compiled in this make file. So that's pretty much it. Is our result. Thank you.